All right, welcome everyone to Padgett Group, third group, fourth group, but the third discussion on soulmate. Oh my goodness. Okay. So today we picked a different topic that also covers a really difficult topic by celestial spirits. But I want to start this conversation backward. I'm curious about a certain perspective on the talk. So the talk is based on um, Nero, who was a Roman emperor. And this is from November 26, 1918, is when he did his channeling to James Padgett. So in this talk, he's talking about his experience in hell, which is quite a confronting and yet liberating talk. But I picked it for the soulmate aspect. And then I want to start from the back. I want to start from the bottom because we know how Nero went through, Nero went through his kind of like chronological events of what his life was like in the spirit world. But here's what was happening on the soulmate end that I want to point out. So towards the end, Nero said, as I told her of this longing and hopeless feelings of my soul, she came close to me and looked into my eyes with such burning love, threw her arms around me and said, I am your soulmate, and knew the fact for a short time after you came to the spirit world and entered your house of darkness. And during all the long years, I prayed and prayed for the time to come when I could go to you with my love and awaken in your dead soul the response to my great love. And when the time came that I could go, I was so thankful to the Father that I almost flew to you with some dread of disappointment, I confess, to tell you that you were not neglected or unthought of, but that there was some love in the spirit world that was going to you. Of course, I could not tell you of my soulmate love, for you would not then have understood. But as your soul awakened and the love of the Father came to you, I became happier and happier, quotation, and have waited so anxiously for this moment when I could tell you that this love that had been consciously mine for so long is all yours. So, is that not the greatest love monologue ever? So I want to start with that because when you see her perspective and then you go back over what Nero was experiencing, I'm like, I have a feeling those actions by her was affecting him, was pulling him into the right direction. So we'll go over that. But how was that? How's that for you? Comments, Selena.
Oh, I've been really working with this all week. It's really cool
Oh,
to me because I've
oh,
been how I'm seeing it as the one love is like soulmate love. It's different. It is.
different.
So people are experiencing it even when they have no relationship to their soulmate because you're made with it. So I'm
Ah,
experimenting with them, going like, I was made with this. So if I don't have blocks even to the concept of it, like if I'm okay with God
yeah,
giving me this and see it as a gift, I should be able to feel it.
yes,
Like I don't
yes,
need to know my soulmate. They don't
yes.
need to be in a good condition. And I'm then going, well, if I can feel it, I can learn from it. I can learn about my
Oh,
authentic self by feeling it. So I got really excited about it. And actually, when I
huh,
actually focus on it and feel it, I do feel something. So you got your natural love, you got your soulmate love, and you got your divine love, right?
yeah,
You're given natural love and soulmate love by God.
yeah.
You have to have a desire for divine love.
Which
I'm
changes your
excited about it.
soul.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, because it changes. So you have to have a desire for it.
yeah.
So basically, as your love grows, you your soulmate love has to they kind of come hand in hand, the divine love and the soulmate love.
I've
Unlike
been wondering.
natural, that's what I'm feeling. That's what see, I'm getting the information already, right?
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
So Yeah, it's just so cool. Like I think it's almost impossible to get into a celestial condition and not have soulmate
That
feelings.
awaken.
Like you have to, like you can't.
Okay.
They come together. Like you can't ignore it. Or
Huh.
and the other question that came up too is, can you be with your soulmate in the sixth sphere in a natural love state and without, like, I have a feeling that would be really, you'd have to actually resist divine love pretty strongly. I'm not
Huh.
sure it's even, how long could you do it? Like, how long could you do it without going nuts?
Well, Amon and
That's
Aman
another thought
did,
that I
but
have.
Amon and Aman lived for hundreds of years in that soulmate love and perfect human
Yes,
being
they
sixth
did.
sphere.
Yes, they did. Good point. Good point. So
Yeah.
they did it a long
So
time.
it's a thing.
So it's a thing. You can do that for a long
Yeah.
time without the divine love, without that, without needing it, without, like, I'm just wondering
Yes.
if you,
But
if it,
my feeling
if you're with
is,
your soulmate, if you have more pain about
but it's what you said. If you're going towards divine love, somewhere in there, soulmate love awakens. You
yes,
have to. It's the
you
other way
have to,
around.
but maybe
Yeah.
you can have the soulmate love without really going there. Yeah,
But if you're going
but you
towards
can't.
divine love,
Yeah,
soulmate
because
love is going to wake up.
that one guy, is it Stephen, that Jesus was talking to? He didn't really feel his soulmate longings until he was in the celestials. He had totally had disregarded relationships.
Ah,
Like, he'd
wow.
given up
Okay.
on them. It was like, yeah, I don't really. I think it was him.
Okay.
I think it was him.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Stuart?
Anyway,
You're talking about Stuart.
Stuart. Yes,
Okay.
Stuart. Yes, yes. If I remember it correctly, I think that's what he said.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's cool.
I like what you
It's the
said
first time I've thought it's all cool.
it's exactly. I like what you said, that I could learn from it. I can learn from
Yes.
soulmate love.
And that's the part that got me excited about developing a desire to feel it, because I have it. It's in me. I was
Okay.
created with it.
With it.
So with it, right? So that's what
So
really
I'm
got to
being
me about
me.
last week was, oh, you're created with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So if I'm not blocked to it, I can have it. I can feel it.
Learn.
And I can't imagine, like, so it's basically the love that allows you to feel your authentic self, right? Your real self.
Yeah.
So that's what
Yeah.
it's all about, right?
Yeah.
So if I can feel
I'm
it,
guessing.
okay, that's my giggle on the whole thing.
That's
That's
exciting.
where I'm at. Yeah, it is.
Thank you. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Jill?
I just also wanted to comment that the video that you sent out on understanding our will,
Yeah.
the talk, Jesus, he also goes into a lot of soulmate
Okay.
stuff in that talk.
Okay.
And actually he starts to go into it, and then in the question and answer afterwards,
Okay. I
he
didn't watch
goes
that.
into a good portion of
Ooh.
the soulmate talk. And along what Selena was saying, I don't think, like, your desire for divine love, it kind of goes hand in hand, I think. I think that's the impression that I got from it too. And yeah, and he does go into talking that it's not a separate thing. Like, the love
Okay.
is given to the whole soul, and then the soul was broken into pieces. Like, it's not into two halves,
Yeah.
not into pieces. It
Wow.
has, like, it was given to the whole soul.
Okay.
And the whole soul, when he refers to the soul, it's the whole soul. It's not the individual halves of it. So it's like, you if you're choosing to be on the divine path, then you're also choosing your soulmate, or at least the
Right.
desire of it.
Eventually,
But I got,
it's going to get bigger and
yeah,
bigger.
it's going to get triggered. You can still push it away, of course, because you have that free will, but you can still push it away. But either one, but you still, it's tied together. It's just tied together.
Well, if you look at the Through the Mist book series, after I was learning so much, enjoying so much, just blown away with everything. And only towards the end, they're like, we need to go visit Claire in the house. We need to go, like, he's like, oh yeah, like, you know, how he kind of put it off too, I want to say, in my words. And that was like the last thing he had to go and heal and forgive before he could cross the gate. And the talk that Jill is referring to is the 2016, the June one, the May, June. It is Understanding Your Will. No, it's the first one. No, it's the March, April. That's the talk is from there, just so people know. Okay, other comments about that statement, Casey?
Excuse me. I really loved and was quite moved actually by how much love she had for him, Nero, by respecting his free will.
Yeah.
Respecting that law. Like, she would not go to him until she felt an opening, and then she celebrated that there was even an opening, even though it was like.
Well, I think though that was from God, not from Nero. I think the feeling she had that I want to go, when can I go? I wonder if that came from God, that he needed to, you know, get to a certain.
But didn't something
That's
have
a
to?
Good question. Actually, it's a good question. I don't know.
Because
That's true.
I thought what I was reading was that he got to the place of despair, and that's when she was able to kind of, because he removed himself.
Yes.
To a place of loneliness, I think he said.
And
that's when the opening happened. That's what I read.
So he was finally grieving that he was releasing those emotions. That was a block. I like it. Thank you. Good point. I was wondering about that. Okay. Other comments? Adrian?
Yeah, I mean, I remember that message is one of the most impactful messages that I read, like in all of the Padgett messages. And the thing that really makes me feel like really sad and really mad, but also hopeful, like to know that she waited like 2,000 years. Like, she sat in that place of waiting for 2,000 years, and she was okay with that. And like, I just don't understand yet how, like, because my desire is so strong, but it's still so riddled with pain that like I just can't imagine. But as I say that, I am getting closer to, like, as I release some of the, like, a lot of the pain, I am getting closer to that place. I still can't imagine waiting 2,000 years. Yeah.
But if you think about it, when she had to wait, and she's such an emotional person, she has divine love in her, how much grief did she release? Like, she wasn't just, you know, she must have grieved and grieved and grieved and felt her emotions about not being able to go to him.
Yeah,
and to see how much suffering he's in. Sorry?
This is my same comment that I think I had last group, is that nobody ever talks about that stuff. Like, nobody talks about the in-between of like, the agony of the in-between. Like, yeah, can she come back and talk to us about her process?
Yeah.
It must have been grueling, but
yeah. Wow. Okay. Thank you. Virginia?
I agree. This is a very impactful message. And I'm amazed at her faith.
Yeah.
Her faith that this will be. And that it doesn't matter his soul condition or anything. Like, that does not matter. She sees the good of it all. And I know, I understand the in-between and how 2,000 years, oh my gosh.
Was it 2,000 years that she waited? Yeah? Or is it somewhere in there? I don't know how do we know? Adrian, do you remember seeing the...
For some reason that was like, or maybe he died 2,000 years ago, maybe.
Okay. I don't know how long. Okay. Yeah. I mean, but he did mention centuries. So yeah, he did mention centuries of pain and Okay.
I think it was actually Jesus that said it at one point in a talk, that he referenced that message and said that she waited 2,000 years. So that was coming from
Ooh.
Jesus's mouth and like, or AJ's mouth.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Thank you. I just needed confirmation about that. Okay. Sorry, Virginia, you were saying.
Yeah, no, I just mean that has to, she must have had such deep faith in what this, in the soulmate love, that it is one love shared by both. But she was experiencing it and he was not yet. But she just had so much
I
faith in.
wonder. That's what I want to start with her. And then as we go back to his story, I want us to reference to what she said she was doing the whole time. I wonder. So this, your comment bring up 2 points for me. One is that she was an innocent young woman. She was killed, so she didn't have a lot of sin. And then she was murdered, right, by her own soulmate. So then that means that it would have been easier for her to, receive God's love, like God's, I mean, this is before Jesus opened the heavens. So, but help, protection, whatever it is, that's one. And two, God always help one half of the soulmate to progress quicker so that that person can go help the other. That's the two things I'm thinking of. Is probably like she got a lot of help because he was going to need it. But God's passion for our redemption is like really powerful here in this story. How much God put into redeeming us, because all God cared about through all of the spirits that were praying for him is to help him get out of there, get out of hell, like get out, So that's very moving for me. Other comment. I thought Michael had a thought bubble up.
The biggest takeaway for me so far is a play on what Selena said, which is, well, maybe I can ask to feel my soulmate love, this part of me that loves there, even if I'm afraid or if I'm angry and I don't want to feel my soulmate. Maybe I can, because they say you can find your soulmate about the fifth sphere, but maybe we can feel that love before then.
That's my experiment right now. My experiment is, my prayer is usually, God, can I feel what pure soulmate longing feel like for just a second? Can you just give me a taste? And this feeling will wake up. And it's so pure and innocent and light. And I'm like, oh, it feels good just to feel it. And it disappears quickly because of my soul condition addiction, all that dragged down again. But I have a taste of it and I want it. I want more. I want to stay there. So that's creating a longing, a desire. So I think, Mike, it can work. If you ask the prayer, can I please feel soulmate longing for just a moment? Can I have a taste of that? And I think you'll feel something.
And I was listening to the last recording about Padgett, and you all asked the 3 questions. And, I would tend to have these reasons why I don't want to find my soulmate. But I think but that's the intellectual mature me. It's really a childhood emotion, right?
Yeah.
So the simpler, the more basic emotion that I can reach is probably the one that keeps me away from my soulmate.
Yep. Ought to be. And then we have intellectual justifications for the false belief.
I think for me, it's like a lack of failure of trust and disappointment. As a child, not feeling love. When our group started, I felt, how you're in a group and people are emotionally open and your boundaries like relax and you feel like you could cry a little bit. Okay. So that's my experience joining all of you today. Is
soulmate talks warmed us up.
And the last thing I had was, this is, I think, more intellectual, so maybe it's a natural love path thing. And for those spirits that are going that way, but it's the soulmate love is a natural love, and you purify your loves as you go through the spirit world. Can you get all the way to the sixth sphere and not realize who your soulmate is? Or it seems like you would be purified just of that one just to get to the sixth sphere, because the block to getting to the celestial heavens is not wanting the God or the Holy Spirit, or that relationship. So
that's what Selena was mentioning, that Stuart, who was a sixth sphere natural love spirit, that was observing Jesus coming back, and all those talks they did. I think Selena was mentioning that he asked the celestial spirit, then started to ask about the soulmate. But that's a really good question. Like, there's got to be so many different ways that come up, so many different paths and variables, and how that can happen.
So I think I'm wondering, can you be in the sixth sphere and be in denial of a real basic part of your personality? Can you be a perfect natural man and still deny your soulmate?
I think so. I think if natural love if it's very intellectual, it's very denial based, like a renouncement kind of idea, like some religions can be like that. I think you can be of that much denial of that emotion, if that's your option. I think it's possible. Yeah, I think it's possible. So a lot of spiritual beliefs that I was experiencing growing up was about renouncing passion, renouncing sex, like kind of like getting away from it because it's not spiritual. If you want to go to God, you got to get away from that, from temptations. So there are those beliefs. Fortunately, in Sikhism, you are meant to be a householder. You're not allowed to be, what is the word? Holy man living in the caves, not the Sikh path. So I remember tantruming right as a teenager because I wanted to run to Golden Temple and live there as a nun. Really wanted that. So there was some tantrums going on about that. Yeah. And Judith, you had raised your hand.
Yeah, I just had a comment about what you said about her getting extra help from God. Doesn't that all just her free will plays into that? I mean, God isn't going to help her if she doesn't want the help. God can't help her if she doesn't want the help.
Yes, I have wondered about the mechanism of that, but I haven't asked it closely because I'm so glad it exists. Don't look at that gift and why it happened. I am so grateful that that's a thing. But Jesus had mentioned that in quite a few talks. I think I was there in the talk when he said one of the soulmates encouraged to progress quicker to help the other. Mm. There's something is allowed there, and I'm glad for it.
Well, I've never thought about that, but it's a very efficient, like God is so efficient and doesn't waste any resources, or, like he's so smart like that. And like that would be very efficient to not help all the people, but help half the people more, so then they can help the other half of the people.
Because that love will call. Like,
yeah.
I mean, my own guides have that story, and then you have this one. So let's go back over the story, keeping in mind what the soulmate was doing, what she was doing from the moment of his passing, keeping in mind the prayers she was doing, the longing she was having. Now let's go back over his story and see how that could have been helping him all along. And any other comments about her most beautiful love monologue ever? Okay, so let's move on to. So let's go to the top. So we have moved things around. So Nero, it starts here. He was a persecutor of the Christians. He sees himself fully, but he's a celestial spirit now as he speaks this. My sufferings would beyond all description, and I was almost worshipped by other spirits in the hell because of the great injury I've done. And they loved me for the very evil that I've done. So he was around other people who liked what he did. But then strange that the people he had killed were not revengeful, were not cursing him. And then when I had been in the spirit world a sufficient time to realize my surrounding and the nature of this evil, which I had made, came to me in these spirits of the martyrs, came to me in sympathy and pity, tried many times to help me. I did not understand his unexpected kindness. He had trouble believing it. So I suffered year after year, century after century, and then I became convinced that this is it. There's nothing here for me. The God I've heard of is not my God. And then he wished to die, but he couldn't. He could find no consolation among those who surrounded him in the pleasure that he must have at first enjoyed. Now it was awful. Those addictions felt terrible. How often I call upon God, if there to be a God, to strike me dead. So again, his prayer to God was, destroy me, please destroy me. And then he isolated himself from the other spirits. He went away from them. And then he started to really get into some really deep emotions. He started to get all the memories coming back to him. And he felt like he was paying the penalty for all the sins and evil by everyone. Like he felt like, I'm paying for everybody's sin here. And he had to hear the screams of pain of the people that were killed. And the law did its work. There was no one to say enough. So let's stop here. What's that like for you to read through all of that? Keeping in mind what she was doing on her end and how you feel it may have impacted him in some way. Michael?
I'm wondering if there's a stages of awakening, kind of like stages of grief. Where is he in denial? Is he going further into denial by isolating himself? Is he feeling sorry for himself?
Yeah.
Can I read these from the things he describes? Can I read what stage of the awakening process he's in?
Redemption, yeah. I feel that when he left the other spirits, that was the beginning of his healing. He left the other dark spirits because the dark spirits are still in their justified rage. They're not done with their vengeful feelings. They're still wanting to stay in that rage. And he was like, I need to get away from you guys. I no longer agree with your justification. He left them. I mean, how many centuries or millennia of those spirits still stuck in that anger? So that's where I went with that. Jill?
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. Like he seemed to have turned the corner when he left the other spirits. Like,
yeah.
And I mean, she prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed for him, and I think with every prayer, it affected him.
I wonder.
Like it was just kind of like you can see that. I mean, she just said she prayed and prayed, and I would love to see that process. I think Grace said that too, or Adrian said that. That I'd love to see what process she went through in that praying instead of just saying prayer and prayer. But I think it affected him to be able to, like, he used his will to get away from the other people. Like, right? He used that will to
But he felt called. I feel like he felt called to something, even as he felt hopeless. Like that's my interpretation of it.
Okay.
He felt influenced because in a whole, that soul is in good condition. I mean, we got his condition, but then we got her condition. And you wonder how the totality of the soul really feel about itself when you have somebody.
Well, and like you said, she must have gone through a massive amount of grieving to not only realize that her soulmate is the one that actually killed her. I can't fathom that, but that her condition, her praying, must have helped him somehow to say, no, I don't want you. I want to be alone. I don't know about her yet, but I don't want to be with them either.
And he was willing to experience the agony of having that law of compensation grind at you. He was experiencing it. He wasn't trying to get away from it. I'm trying to get away. I was like, pain, out, get me out of here. How dare you? I don't deserve this. I go into rebellion. But he endured it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a lot of resonance with him, like, just, I want, annihilate me. I want to die. I want to, I have a lot of resonance with that. So yeah, I get that. But I think her praying had awakened that. I mean, it had to have. From what we understand, it had to.
It must. That's I'm curious if we read that with that in mind, what would his story look like? I'll go to Casey.
Talking about the prayer from his soulmate, I also thought it was really interesting that because the people he started, like when he started to question himself, it was the people that he had murdered, and they were giving him forgiveness. Like that started to get him questioning as well. So the power of her prayer, awakening his soul, but also God's like, okay, here's all my helpers.
Yes.
And helping bring. So he was then in conflict of, well, but I murdered all these people. Why aren't they mad at me? And why aren't they in their justifications and blah, 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 blah.
The power of forgiveness. He's experiencing the power of forgiveness, the redemption you get from that.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even see that. Thank you, Casey. Okay, sorry, go on.
Like soulmate stuff, but then he's intellectual from.
Yeah.
Like it's so cool.
Oh,
it's confusing how God designed the fucking universe.
Oh, the redemption. God is so passionate about redeeming our soul, restoring us. It's like, what kind of parent is that has such a passion, has developed so much to help us get that?
And sorry, just one more really quickly, because I keep seeing this visual. It's like when Mr. Rogers talks about the helpers. Look for helpers. Like there was a lot of helpers that helped him come up against his conflict before he turned inward.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it's but even that does so. Okay, sorry, I was just thinking about my guide's story and how he had so many people that try to talk to him. Yeah. Okay. Other comments, Selena.
Well, the part about him wanting to be annihilated brought up like a channeling I did once. People that also believe by punishing sinners. So I wonder how common that is in the spirit world that keeps people in a really dark place for a long time, is they feel that they can do certain things. Like, okay, so you're in the hells, you think you're going to be there permanently, it's horrible, you don't want to be there, you'd rather disappear, like you'd rather just be eliminated. So you either do even more sin, like if I just darken myself enough, eventually I'll shrivel up and be nothing. Or I can even punish, or like, because these people I channeled were actually priests. So they recognized that they had done bad things to women, and that's why they were in the hell. So they figured if they just punished people that they felt their interpretation of sinners, if they just kept doing that, they would be doing God's work, and eventually God would kill them too, right? So it's interesting how people are in denial of God, like what they think. Even then, like it can keep them down in the house for much longer because they think they can bargain. They can somehow bargain for their annihilation of some. It was a very interesting channel. I guess I could just see it. Well, we'll just disappear eventually if we just keep doing this, punishing people. for their sins. God will eventually reward us
Punisher.
by, because they were priests, they did believe that they would stay in hell forever. And they recognized that they had done sins, and that's why they were there. And then they would just keep punishing people that they thought were sinners.
Yeah.
Which of course was just adding to their sin, thinking that eventually they would disappear. That is interesting. Yeah. So people I wonder how many people have many hundred years more of suffering because they think that's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have one false belief that God is punishing. God is a punishing God.
That
And
God
just
will,
over that one false belief.
And it's faint hope that eventually I can compensate or be punished enough or do whatever pleases God so that I can disappear. Yeah. Yeah. That God believes in punishment.
That's a lot of self-loathing, just saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But, no matter what you think about yourself, to God, you're her baby. You will be saved.
Oh, and Jesus did say, he does say in one of the Padgett Messages that one of the main reasons they're there is because of that belief that, hell is permanent. God's going to punish me forever. That one belief is terrible that religion has perpetrated upon people. Yeah.
Other comments? Okay, so we'll continue with the second part of, my third part of that talk. So here it is. In my loneliness and suffering. So he's in his emotion. He's going through the law of compensation. A beautiful spirit full of light and love and all the beauty of early womanhood. Of course, to him, she is like the most beautiful woman ever, right? With eyes of pity and longing, say, you're not alone. Only open your eyes and you will see the star of hope, which is a sign of Father's love and desire to help you. I am the child of that Father and the possessor of his great enveloping love, and I love you. Even though you took from me my young life when you threw me to the wild beast to satisfy your desire, to gratify your thirst for innocent blood, and see the suffering and hear the groans of your victim. Yet I love you, not because I'm a human with a kindly nature and forgiving disposition, but because I have in me this divine love of the Father, which tells me I'm your sister. I had a lot of trouble with that sentence at first. And that you are a child of the Father, just as I am, and the object of his love, just as I was the object of his love. You have suffered, and while you suffered, his great love went out to you in sympathy and desire to help you. But you yourself prevented it from coming to you and leading you to light and surcease from sufferings. And now I come to you, you young and innocent victim who have never done you any greater harm on earth than to pray for you, and ask the Heavenly Father to take away from your heart the great wickedness that caused so many of my people to suffer persecution and death. So, and then she went on to say, can you not love us a little and open up your soul to our sympathy and let your feelings of gloom and despondency leave you for a moment and realize that in this world of spirits, there's some who love you. And then he said the prayer, God, be merciful to me, the greatest of sinners. And for the first time in all my life in the hell, I cried. And then he had remorse and regret. There's a lot in that one paragraph, but okay. So, comments. Jill?
And to get back to the paragraph. So in that paragraph, I had a lot of problem with that same sentence. That it's when she says not because I am human with a kindly nature and forgiving disposition. So what I took from that, I have two comments. One, what I took from that one was that if she didn't have divine love, she wouldn't have been able to forgive him.
I don't know.
I don't know if
I don't
that's
know
true
about
or
that.
not.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true or not. I have no idea, but that's what I took from him or took from it. And that the comment where she said, divine love or his great love went out to you, but you yourself prevented it from coming to you. That brought up an emotion in me. It was like, okay, how do I stop preventing it? Like, how do I make that, what's my logical brain sits there and goes, what steps do I need to take in order for me to not prevent it? Right? What are the steps?
Beautiful.
Give me the 12-point plan. I don't know what it
Beautiful.
is, but right. What is that step?
Yeah, absolutely. That is beautiful. And I think that was our first talk in Padgett, was what prevents divine love from entering our soul. Coincidentally, that was a talk. But
I didn't get answers, but I'd like to know.
I know. No, that is beautiful. Like, we could ask today, we could ask our guides this question, like, how am I stopping God's love from entering me right now? How am I preventing it? Like, wow, what an effort. There's love pouring to me, and what is incredible effort I'm making to say no. That's kind of incredible, actually. We put that much energy into other things, eh? We will have divine truth-based hospitals in every continent, every cities. Okay, so I want to bring something out. Serena had said something last week that's been like niggling at me all week, and then this talk confirmed it. It was the comment that our Celestial Spirit guides are giving us natural love. And it's not, it's God's love. Because when you receive God's love, that's what's pouring out of you towards other people. That's how much you're changed. What's coming out of you is divine love. And that's what she said. Yeah,
Can you say that again?
I've been kind of like niggling at me.
Yeah. Can you say?
Sure. So as you start receiving God's love in you and all these different topics and different issues, then what's coming out of you towards other people in your environment is God's love and God's feelings, not yours. Adrian.
The challenger has something to say.
Yeah, I love it. Let's do it.
Well, mostly because I'm listening to the oneness blessing talk right now.
Oh wow, okay.
And Jesus specifically says in that talk that nobody can give anybody else's love, including God's love.
Oh, like, okay, well there we go.
Yeah, like I can love you, but I can't give you Dharm's love. Only Dharm can give you Dharm's love.
No,
same for God. Only God can give you God's love. But he's like, but when you're in a divine state, you can like reflect that love that you're getting. Like,
yeah,
so
that's what I mean. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he was like very your personality, I think, but it's your desire.
It's not God's. Like, you cannot give God's love to somebody else.
No, I see what you mean. Thank you. Yes. Thank you for that correction. Yes. Okay. I meant that the God's love that I feel is what I'm now giving. But yes, it comes through the filter of my nature.
Yeah, like it's reflected.
So you always know.
Yeah.
So, but your soul gets changed so much by God's love, and eventually fully, that you are in harmony with how God feels about those topics. So I still feel that the substance in your soul is God's love. But yes, it comes through you, through your nature. Thank you for that. Yes, that's a huge distinction. I'm glad you mentioned it. No, I can't give divine love to anybody else, but the love coming through me is going to be what I receive from God. I mean, that's my desire. Virginia?
So just so I understand, so you're saying once you have received divine love and you have even a little bit of that in your soul, that when I'm loving somebody or projecting love,
yeah,
that I can't help but that be part of it.
That's flow. That I think that's the
that
changes in your soul.
So that you can't help but allow that to flow out.
If you allow your soul to be changed by the love you receive.
Yeah, that paragraph is like, there's so much in that. Like how powerful love is, how powerful forgiveness is, and how that is actually bringing about redemption. Like, I just like the power of all that is, I'm just, that is love. And I don't know, I'm speechless reading it.
And we have to develop our soul, the capacity to be overwhelmed by this love all the time. All the time. Yeah. Imagine that. And of course, naturally, you just want to pour it out of you. When you have so much of that coming, you want everybody to know, I guess. Yeah, thank you. Judith.
Yeah, I was just thinking about what you said with the love of God and how you project it. And I think that when you feel God's love, it automatically changes your soul, right? There's no
right.
But the love you project
and
demands and our addictions, it's going to be pure. And maybe we don't even know what that feels like.
That's what I'm beginning to wonder.
We don't know what it feels like to feel love from people, because no one has truly loved us, because they've always had a demand.
Except for our guides, who were there loving us.
Yeah. If we can feel, and sometimes, like I have trouble with my guides' love, because
the main
emotion I feel, and I think the one that Nero felt, was I don't deserve it. And it's interesting that no matter what little sin we do, we sometimes feel I don't deserve love.
So this is where, now linking to what Jill had just asked. So if you're not familiar, like what happened with Nero, when all these beautiful spirits that he had murdered came to him with forgiveness, he was like, this is weird. I'm not used to this. What's going on here? He's not familiar with it. This is why we have to have each other helping demonstrate, so that we can become familiar that this is supposed to be the norm. And only with the familiar. So if you're not familiar, you will prevent this weird thing coming at you, which is God unconditional love of like, you're so, somebody feels that way about us, is weird, is alien, we're not used to it. I mean, we were constantly bathed in it until we were incarnated, but now we got to go back to being familiar with it. So yeah, that makes me think of, like, for yourself, Judith, it's like, when you start to let your guides feeling come into you, which is coming because they've received God's love. So it's, it's making it familiar that this is the norm. But then again, for me, I want it to happen for others. That brings up that I want this for others. I want others to receive it. I feel they're worthy of it. I fight for it. So that then creates the back door for me to then go, I think I need to receive more love so that I'm not so angry. I just be brought to my knees. I think only love's going to change me now. I can only fight with addiction so hard. So there's changes inside of us where you see it as the most efficient way. Yeah. And for me, I've come to a point where I'm like, I don't know what love is. I'm gonna have to receive God's and give that, convey that instead. That's just what I wish to do. Need time. Yep. So other comments about, that we're not doing any justice to this very powerful message. We're just trying to do the soulmate stuff here a little bit. Okay, should we continue on with the rest of the message? All right, so he cried for the first time since he entered hell when he prayed, God, be merciful to me, the greatest of sinners. Then he talked about that it took a long time for the breaking up of his soul that was all shriveled and dead, that from that time, I commenced to have hope come to me and to get out of my awful condition of darkness. Hope that there is a way out. It took a long time, but at last I got into light, and there's love, which the beautiful spirit first told me of, gradually came into my soul until at last I am now a celestial spirit. But during all the time of my progress, this radiant, loving spirit came to me very often with words of love and encouragement, and prayed for me and never left me when I became doubtful and discouraged. As my awakening continued, the love came into my soul. She told me of the heavenly things. So she kept growing his desire. And I became more and more bound by my love to her. Then got to third sphere, and then she started to say, oh, look, how strange, there are always two people all the time, but they're always in a pair. To get that explanation of soulmate, and that their love was the greatest of all love, except for divine love. And by this point, his love for her has become so intense that he started to wish and pray that his soulmate could be somebody like her. And then finally, he had to tell her that the only thing missing now that could add to his happiness is that he wished she was the soulmate. But then he felt repentance. The desire was hopeless, as I destroyed your life. Of course, you can't be my soulmate. So that was the next part of this conversation. So, comments. Joe?
I liked this one, gave me hope. This paragraph also gave me hope that it's like I can still, like, I can feel bliss, but I can still also feel despair and you know, like I can, it's not like I have to get rid of everything in order to feel bliss.
Yeah.
Like that kind of, that aspect alone. Sorry, gave me hope.
Absolutely. Okay. Others? Casey?
I hope this is going to make sense. I'm going to tie the last little bit into this. When he said that he was crying for the first time, it felt to me like he somehow was able to get out of his adult addictive facade space.
Okay.
His child self.
Wow.
And just kind of almost surrender to maybe something that he's known all along, somewhere deep in his conscience. And he just needed the help kind of breaking that up. And then he engaged in the work, moving us into the next section of like deconstructing and kind of breaking.
Right. And I like the soulmate's prayer for him. God, please remove wickedness from his heart. Basically, she saw it. You got a thing. You got this wickedness. It can be removed from your heart.
Yeah.
Let this be removed. And kind of gave him, even in that sentence, just giving him like a way to perceive himself, where you got something rotten in you that can be removed. That's not who you are.
That's not how he was created. That's not how he was born. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it was what Selena mentioned earlier, like how many spirits are still in the darkness because the idea of redemption. Okay. Joe?
I just had one question based on what Casey was just saying. Okay, let me rephrase this. Yeah. Can your soul mate in the prayer temporarily give you love? I don't know if that's a question or if that's kind of an obvious statement.
She is giving him love. Like the whole time.
But yeah, like the love that she gives him, that's what's opening his soul.
Yes.
Okay.
the love she was giving him, the prayer she was giving him, I feel if you read the whole chronology of his experience, I feel was constantly influencing him, affecting
Yeah, I
him.
think it just dropped for me that it's like her love, her level of love, because she knew that he was her soulmate shortly after that she arrived, that her
He
love
arrived
for
shortly after he arrived, she said.
as
Shortly
in he
after
arrived.
he passed, yeah.
Right.
Because she had already
So
been killed.
yes,
before
yes,
that.
yes, yeah. But her love for him changed him, opened his love. It wasn't anybody else's, because he resisted everybody else's. It was her love that opened it up for him. Okay.
That's
Sorry,
what
it
I'm
just,
thinking.
yeah.
But all the other stuff prepared him and triggered him and keep getting him to, yeah.
He still had to engage his curiosity about it, though. Like, he had to engage his free will.
Absolutely. But there's an influence.
Yeah.
Because the overall soul, I'm just guessing, the overall soul is stronger or different or is open to God or but then there is the soulmate love, like.
Yeah, because he said other people had come to visit him and he didn't hear him. And it wasn't until she came to visit him that he finally heard her, at least.
But it got him thinking, like somebody else mentioned earlier, that it got him kind of confronted, triggered. Hey, what is this thing that they don't hate me? What is this thing that they love me, they forgive me? What is this thing? What is this feeling? Which is a preparation for soul redemption that God's forgiven you. So all this preparation has to be made. But yeah, I mean, the impact of her visit, and she went flying to him, right, from her perspective. And his feeling of like, the only one I want is her, and how can she have me? How can she be my soulmate? I killed her. Like I said, it's the best love monologue I've ever come across. That's beautiful. Wonder what that movie would look like. Hey, Jess. Okay. Do we want to ask our guides some questions about like, how am I preventing God's love from entering me? Do you guys want to answer? How am I? What technique, what fast belief, rebellion, how am I preventing God's love from entering? Or do you also want to ask a question about soulmate? Ideas?
I'm just open to any questions.
Okay. So do you want to ask? Just ask, like, God, can you give me what true soulmate longing feels like? And if you, at the very least, you'll get some kind of a response. At least you'll feel your block. So 2 questions. How am I preventing God's love from entering right now? And can I have true soulmate longing? What that feels like? Just for a moment, just for a second. Okay, let's go ask that. All right, just a correction for the date for Nero's message, because it was at the bottom of the message. There was a date for when I think Helen's message started. So Nero's message was 16th of January, 1917. That's when that message was recorded. Is the correction. Okay, so how was that? What kind of answers did you guys get for first and second, if you want to share? Casey?
So Mila, you're gonna laugh because this is something I've been talking about in session lately.
Okay.
How am I preventing God's love from entering me? My low self-worth.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Like the theme of last month.
Yeah.
And so I asked for more clarification, like what am I specifically doing right now? And I'm trying to earn God's love, and I'm prove that I'm worthy of God's love. And it's interesting because this time I kind of felt, I think it was God, but it was being relayed through my guides, that they think it's really obviously hurtful, but they think it's kind of funny that I'm doing that because there's no one to prove anything to. They're kind of like, why do you keep doing
What
that?
are you doing? Yeah, okay.
And then for the second one, I was surprised.
Okay.
So it's a very, very tiny longing that I've started already.
Okay.
We're highlighting. I actually have already engaged with the longing. I didn't think I had.
Okay.
But I don't want to be with anybody else but him.
Okay. There it is.
That's my person. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm done. I don't need to search for anything else. Just work on myself.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. All right. Others? Jill? And then Judith?
Well, I'll start with the first question because it's kind of funny. So how am I preventing your love? I know I asked the question, but then I immediately forgot the question and I couldn't figure out what the question was. So I asked a different question, but I got the answer to my question in the first place.
Okay.
Okay. So how am I preventing your love? Is something that I've been dealing with the last couple of weeks, where pain does not equal love. Because my understanding of love is that it's painful.
Yeah.
So
wow. Okay.
That's my block. That's my big block that I don't want to go into because it's it's really painful. And to use my will to aspire to not use the pain or not use the excuse that I don't want to go into the pain. So that makes sense in my mind. In the video that I was talking about, the Q&A, I don't know who brought up the question, but anyways, they brought up this absolutely beautiful analogy of growing a seed. So if you plant a seed, you can't stand over the seed and say, grow, damn it, grow, grow, grow. Like you can't say that. You have to give it what it needs. And that's what you have to, like, you have to, give it tender, loving care. Like you have to water it, but not overwater it, and fertilize it, but not overfertilize. Like you have to give it what it needs. And that's what I need to do in order to not go into the excuse of not wanting to feel my pain.
Okay.
As far as the next question, as far as the soulmate longing, like Casey, it's been awakened. But and no one else matters. Like it's getting to that point where it's like, no one else matters, just my soulmate. That's it. But I'm not fully there yet. So I'm kind of this, like they said, no addiction satisfies, no demand satisfies, but they gave me the image of that I'm just kind of walking around the kitchen, opening the cupboards, looking in the cupboard, closing it, opening another cupboard, closing it. Like I'm not quite fully there, but I know I'm just trying to look for where my soulmate is, but not knowing where to look, kind of thing, and not knowing kind of the direction to look. And that's kind of where I'm at. So.
Okay, good. Okay, others? Oh, Judith, sorry. Judith, go ahead.
That's okay. I thought both of mine were really interrelated, and I felt like I could have spent more time. It was challenging.
Nice, okay.
The first one about praying for God's love or feeling, it was I'm willfully pushing truth away, and I'm doing a lot of addictive behaviors. God won't bestow love on me while I'm in the addiction. And then I was told it's like, but your addiction is because you don't have truth in your soul. So love because you don't have truth, that's not really true. Okay. So it's just like what I believe. And basically it's like, my worth, and I don't deserve love. And I'm willfully desiring not to feel my emotions because that's why I'm doing the addictions,
Right.
So anyway, and then when I got to the soulmate one, I kind of felt like really, like I was getting a really intense hot flash and getting really sweaty and angry. And I kept on seeing an image of like a book with the pages turning. It's like the more you read, you're on a journey in life, the more you read the book, the more you're going to learn and the more everything makes sense. Pages of a book, but I still want my soulmate to be that human romantic partner that fixes everything. You know, I want all these addictions met, and that's when I'm feeling angry about that it has never happened and met those addictions. And also it boils down to me feeling grief. I think that was what I finally got at the end. Yeah.
Well, I like that you're recognizing the addictive anger, because you got to go through that.
Yeah, it helps when you start to have hot flashes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, good one. Thank you. Michael.
I didn't get to the second question, or I avoided it, one or the other. But there was plenty there with the first one. And so like Casey was saying, I deserve to suffer, I deserve this. Maybe I feel I have to suffer, but also from a child's point of view, if I hurt myself, that's a way that I can hurt others and express that I'm unhappy with it. And so and then I've also learned that it's okay to, well, the error is it's okay to be willful to hurt myself. So I believe it's just honky-dory to keep myself in hell. And as long as I believe that, I think help is going to be just outside the bars of the door. So that's me.
Yeah, we need to see that there's something wrong with that statement. We need to see that something's wrong with that belief. We start with that recognition of like, something's wrong with this thought system. And then you're open to, like Judith said, to receive truth about it. Like, why? Can somebody convince me why this is not the way? If I hurt myself, then I can show you, look what you did to me. That's what I'm doing. I hurt myself so that I can show people, like, look, you did this to me. I want you to see my suffering. It's like, okay. There's a lot of anger there. More anger room. Yeah, good one. Thank you, Mike. And Nancy.
Yeah, so for mine, for both questions, I got the same answer, and that was it. Low self-worth. Same as what someone else said, very loudly, very loud. And that was it. So, it's something for me to continue to work on.
Ask to feel, you can ask, can you show me what this feeling feel like, so that I can become conscious of the emotion and actually start processing it. You can ask them to give you the emotion consciously, tangibly. And then you start to work through. And then you can go, but I believe it. How can I convince myself that there's something wrong with this belief? Then then you can go on to that. Good one. Others? Jess?
How am I preventing God's love from entering me right now? By not wanting it, which is funny, but not. But then I also got like by judging it, by fear of what others will think. So fear of rejection, by being angry, but like not dropping into the grief, just like staying in that anger and shame. And I feel like in all of those answers, I don't know, like, yes, they're all true, but like there's an avoidance. Like I could have gone deeper into any one of them, but I just wrote a list and kind of stayed on the surface, like, don't want to feel about any of that. But then as soon as I went to God, can you give me what true soulmate longing feels like? I just started to cry, just lots of crying, like sobbing. But then I was like, well, is that what true soulmate longing feels like, or is that just what I need to get out of me before I can get there? Because with, do we have her name? What's her?
You don't have a name.
Okay, I'm like, what's her name? And I was like, that's not very polite. Like, what's her name? That she was praying, like, and Adrian said, like, what? I want more of her experience. I'm like, yeah, like,
you can ask.
Was she actually sobbing her face off? Like
you can ask her what it felt like,
or whatever this arbitrary number. But still, like, so I'm questioning, like, what is this feeling? Is that soulmate longing, or is that like I'm not getting my addictions met? I need to feel how I feel about that before I can even properly long.
You felt something, and it triggered sadness and longing, and it triggered something.
Yeah.
So you felt something. Sometimes the feeling of its purity, of its innocence, feels very innocent to me, that longing. Sometimes that can trigger your own sadness of how beautiful it is.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah. But we can actually ask, you can actually ask her after, can I feel what it was like when you were praying? What would it feel like? What were your prayers? I can feel her. And she'll give you the feeling. Or if and she'll obviously moderate it to the amount that you can handle. And then some, because they always want to overwhelm you just a tad. This whole point is to be overwhelmed by emotions all the time.
Right.
Ooh. Yesterday, for some reason, I felt like I wanted to watch babies laughing video. You know, when babies are just laughing and laughing. I was like, I'm just going to look it up. And I think maybe I'll send it to somebody. I just started looking it up. And again, they are overwhelmed. They just surrender to the overwhelm of that laughter, of that emotion, and express it. And you're like, oh, there's something so beautiful about that. Okay. Others? Virginia.
For the first one, there's a couple of things that came up for me, and first was the one, I still have this belief in me that suffering and pain is required to receive redemption, and to receive God's love, because that's what redeems you. And also sometimes like being angry with God for his creation of free will and allowing people to do bad things with free will. And that one felt very childlike.
Yeah.
To me.
Good.
You know, like, why do you just let them do that? Like, just stop them. You can stop them. Why don't you just stop them? That kind of a little tantrum. And for the love, that was surprising, because what I felt was like deep in me, but it wasn't towards anybody else. It wasn't like out. It was like towards me. And it was just there for a moment. So
felt good to feel it, but it's inside of you, in your own experience.
But it's more towards me. It's not towards anyone else.
Okay.
I know. So, or wanting anyone else. That's,
Huh. Okay. Curious. Selena?
First question, it's self-reliance based on fear. So fear is what, that's pretty basic for me. So I kind of got to answer sort of like Virginia's. So I can feel the soulmate love, like for myself, like that I have, but I'm really blocked to having actually a longing for the soulmate that I share that love with. That I'm afraid of it. I don't want that relationship. I don't, it's kind of like Nero's soulmate, sort of, well, just feel this nice feeling and you can stay there.
Yeah.
Over there, over there. You stay over there.
Yeah.
Like that feeling. So I find that interesting that I can have both of those at the same time. Like I can have some feeling of what soulmate love feels like, but yet at the same time, not want the person that I'm sharing it with. Interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely some fears are going to come up around that.
Yes.
My answer was terror. This terror came up, emotion of terror that made me go, am I blocking it because I'm terrified or because I haven't released terror? And that's the block. I don't know which is which, but this terror has come up. Okay, so I think the terror represents a false belief about God's love. And as I haven't released the terror, the false belief is still there. The lie is still there. So I will have to release the terror in order to release the block. Okay, that got clear, I think. And everyone shared or want to share, Adrian, Michael?
I've got a question. I was trying to think of how does my error express as an addiction? What is my addiction that I'm trying to meet? Help?
That is the question to ask, because you have to get rid of the addiction in order to expose the pain, the emotion to release. I'm feeling the addiction for intellectual understanding. The wanting to stay intellectually understanding and ruminating is what's coming to me right now. It's the addiction. Because I just dropped into that addiction for myself, how I became mental, what pain I was avoiding. I just dropped into that 3-4 days ago, 3 in the morning. So that was the image that came to me. There could be more. Yeah.
Thanks.
Adrian, do you want to share?
I didn't do the blocking question.
Okay.
I asked that question a lot and
Good. Yeah.
don't want to do that one right now. And I think like the longing question, like I just spent 4 hours with my soulmate, like and I'm getting to a better and better place of being in a pure state of longing and love with him that's not riddled by addictions and expectations all the time. And it feels much more like childlike and expansive, and there's no pain in it, and it's just exciting and so I even had a bit of a hard time like asking that question, like, God, can you give me that feeling, because I kind of feel like I'm carrying that still with me a little bit.
Yeah.
Earlier today and
yeah.
some really beautiful experiences with him. So
okay. I think that's why it's helping everybody else here to tap into that emotion, because you're in it.
Yeah.
You're
and I
feeling.
really have to say that like there's no pain in that longing.
Yeah.
Like there's no pain in it. And I think that's really important to know.
Okay. Yeah, like what Jill had figured out earlier too, is like love doesn't hurt. Love is not pain.
Yeah.
But if it hurts, then hey, let's get them going. Addictions,
yeah, like there's
expectation.
I know when I feel that pain, it's like it's just very clear that there's something out of alignment here. Like there's some error still that I need to find. And
yeah.
Like I don't know. Sometimes I just hear some of the conversations about longing and love, and it's like we can't accept the longing as pain.
Yeah.
Like don't stop there.
Wow, that false belief's been removed from you. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. All right. So I don't know if we are at the end of soulmate talk yet, or we gotta keep going, or I'm open to more ideas as we go. But I think we got some stirring happening with this 3 talks, so we gotta let it sit a little bit. Michael?
You may have covered this while I was gone, but there was a sentence that stood out for me in the paragraph, "The devils love me for the very evil I had done." so I noticed that he said, when I had been in the spirit world a sufficient time to realize my surroundings and the nature of these evils, the spirits of the martyrs came to me in sympathy and pity. So in the divine truth, cracking the code in divine truth, I'm thinking, okay, he's realizing I'm here for a reason. I created this. God's law of attraction working on my soul and the nature of these evils. So maybe he's starting to realize the feelings or the emotions in him that created the evil.
Okay.
And so he's starting to have some awareness, and then divine love spirits came to him to help him, but he didn't feel it was worth it. And he didn't feel God.
He's not familiar with this emotion, the sensation of forgiveness and kindness. He's not used to it. He's not familiar. It felt foreign. Yeah.
He just couldn't love himself to.
I mean, that's the whole thing we're going through right now. We connect to our sins, and then we go into self-loathing and self-hatred and self-judgment, and it's like, oh God. So then you keep yourself in hell longer than you need to, because you're like, God's laws are already on penalty with me, but hey, let me add to that. So just in case they didn't drive through the message, gotta be some kind of arrogance or self-reliance or something. Self-loathing, who knows? I mean, why would you treat people badly if you loved yourself, right? So you must have self-loathing to begin with to make you become so dark and treat people badly. Oh, arrogance, that can be that too. Okay, so we will stop the Padgett message for this one here now. And now the next talk in 2 weeks will be on Solomon's message. I'll send the video and the talk on it.